They say curiosity killed the cat. In my case, it killed my marriage. I'm Emily, and this is my story of how one question led to an avalanche that buried everything I held dear. You know those lives that look perfect on Instagram? That was mine. 3-bedroom colonial in the suburbs of Boston. 2 beautiful kids with their father's dimples. A marketing career that had just landed me a director position, and a husband who remembered every anniversary. We were that couple, the ones others looked at with envy. David and I met in college. He was the quiet genius in the back of the computer science class. I was the outgoing marketing major who couldn't code to save her life. Opposites attract, right? He went on to become a successful software engineer, while I climbed the corporate ladder at a digital advertising firm. 2 kids later, Sophie, our precocious 8-year-old, and Jake, our dinosaur-obsessed 6-year-old. We had achieved the American dream. "Mommy, when is Daddy coming home?" Sophie would ask most evenings, her dark curls falling over her homework as she sat at the kitchen island. "After he fixes the computers," I'd always answer. Not mentioning that fixing the computers meant another 12-hour day at his startup. That's the thing about perfect lives. They're often perfectly empty. David and I had mastered the art of parallel living. We shared a bed, but rarely touched. We had family dinners, but barely talked. We were experts at maintaining the facade while the foundation crumbled beneath our feet. Then came January 2nd, 2023. Like millions of others riding the wave of New Year's resolutions, I joined Elite Fitness. The gym was packed, of course. All those fresh promises of transformation crowding around treadmills and weight racks. I felt lost among the machines. Another middle-aged mom trying to reclaim something she couldn't quite name. That's when I first saw him. Mark. He moved through the chaos with the confidence of someone who knew exactly who he was and what he was worth. 6'2" of pure authority in a fitted black trainer's shirt, helping a client with perfect form on the squat rack. I tried to focus on my workout, but my eyes kept drifting to him. The way he spoke to his clients. Gentle but firm, professional but personal. The way he smiled. Just enough to make you feel special without crossing any lines. The way he commanded attention without demanding it. "Your form needs work." His first words to me weren't a pickup line or a cheesy compliment. Just a simple observation as I struggled with a barbell. He didn't wait for permission. His hands were already adjusting my shoulders, positioning my hips. "Keep your core tight," he instructed, his voice carrying that perfect mix of authority and encouragement. Imagine you're protecting yourself from a punch. Those first corrections were completely professional. Every touch had a purpose, every adjustment aimed at proper form. But something shifted in that moment. A crack in my carefully constructed world that would soon split wide open. I didn't know then about the rumors, didn't know about the whispers in the women's locker room, or the knowing looks between longtime gym members. I didn't know that Mark had a reputation, or that the 16 inches they giggled about had nothing to do with bicep measurements. I was just a woman feeling seen for the first time in years. A woman who had forgotten what it felt like to have someone's undivided attention, to be touched with purpose, to be guided with care. "Same time next week?" he asked after that first impromptu session. "We could work on your deadlift form." I said yes without hesitation. It seemed innocent enough. A professional trainer helping a new client. Just another step in my journey of self-improvement. But standing there, watching him walk away, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Anticipation. The dangerous kind that makes your skin tingle and your thoughts wander to places they shouldn't. I didn't know then that accepting that simple offer would set in motion a chain of events that would tear apart my family, expose a web of lies, and force me to question everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and the price of curiosity. Because sometimes the most dangerous questions aren't the ones we ask others. They're the ones we ask ourselves. And in the women's locker room the following week, I would hear a conversation that would plant a seed of curiosity so deep, it would grow into an obsession that would cost me everything. It was a Wednesday morning when I overheard them. 3 women huddled near the lockers, their voices a conspiratorial whisper above the hum of hairdryers. "Did you hear about Sarah from accounting?" "Don't tell me, Mark?" 3 private sessions, and she's already skipping the lunch breaks to meet him. They called him the 16-inch heartbreaker. Not because of any particular measurement, they laughed, but because that's how many inches of emotional distance he could create between a woman and her husband in just a few private sessions. "It's like he has a sixth sense," one woman said, applying lipstick in the mirror. "He knows exactly which ones are vulnerable, the ones with the perfect lives and the empty beds." I pretended to be absorbed in my phone, but every word sank into my consciousness like stones in a still pond. Ripples of recognition, of warning, of excitement. That afternoon, I had my first official training session with Mark. He was the consummate professional, correcting my form, pushing my limits, maintaining just enough distance to make me want to close it. "Your body's capable of more than you think," he said, spotting me on the bench press. "Sometimes we just need someone to show us our true potential." The sessions became weekly, then bi-weekly. Each time, the professional touch lingered a second longer. The casual conversations grew more personal. The text messages started innocently enough. "Great form today. Keep that core tight tomorrow. Don't forget to hydrate. Recovery is as important as training." But slowly the messages changed. "You seem distracted today. Everything okay at home? Your dedication is inspiring. Not many people have your drive. I find myself thinking about your progress even after hours." At home, David barely noticed the changes. He was too absorbed in his startup, coming home late, with his mind still caught in lines of code. Sophie and Jake started asking why Mommy was always at the gym. I told them it was important to be healthy. I didn't tell them about the way my heart raced every time Mark's name appeared on my phone. The late-night sessions started in March. "The gym's quieter after 9, Mark suggested. "We can really focus on your form." I told David it was a special high-intensity program. He just nodded, already reaching for his laptop. When was the last time he had really looked at me? Really seen me? Mark saw me. Mark noticed every small improvement, every new curve, every hint of definition in my strengthening muscles. The first time our hands touched without the pretense of training, it was like electricity. We were putting weights away after a session, the gym dark except for the emergency lights. His fingers brushed mine on the dumbbell rack, and neither of us pulled away. "This is dangerous," I whispered. "Life without danger isn't really living," he replied. The text messages became daily, then hourly. Hidden beneath innocent workout talk was a current of something more. "Your form on those hip thrusts was perfect today. I can't stop thinking about your progress. Some training needs to be more private." I started wearing my best workout sets to the gym, spending extra time on my hair and makeup before sessions, making excuses to stay late at the office, only to drive straight to elite fitness. The other trainers gave us knowing looks. The women from the locker room whispered behind their hands. But in those moments with Mark, in the dim light of the empty gym, none of it mattered. Until that rainy Tuesday in April. The gym was nearly empty. Just a few dedicated late-night regulars. Mark was showing me a new stretch routine, his hands on my hips, adjusting my position. Our eyes met in the mirror, and something shifted. "Your husband doesn't deserve you," he whispered, his breath warm against my ear. "Mark, I can't." "You already are." His kiss tasted like protein shake and forbidden promises. In that moment, all the carefully constructed walls of my perfect life came crumbling down. What I didn't know then was that someone else was at the gym that night. Someone with a phone camera and a direct line to David's office. As I drove home in the rain, my lips still tingling from Mark's kiss, my phone buzzed with a text. But it wasn't from Mark. It was from David. "We need to talk." The perfect facade was about to shatter. But the real surprise wasn't that David knew. It was what he'd known all along about Mark. The drive home that night felt like swimming through molasses. Each traffic light stretched into eternity, each windshield wiper swipe marking another beat of my racing heart. David's text burned in my mind. "We need to talk." The house was dark, except for David's home office. Through the window I could see his silhouette, not hunched over his laptop as usual, but sitting straight, waiting. Sophie and Jake's backpacks by the door reminded me of everything I was risking. "The kids are at my mother's," David said as I walked in, his voice eerily calm. On his computer screen was an email. Subject line, "Your wife and Mark Davidson. You need to see this." The attached photos were grainy but unmistakable. Mark and me in the gym, his hands on my hips, the kiss. But it was the other attachments that made my blood run cold. Screenshots of text messages I'd never seen, conversations between Mark and other women. Dozens of them. All following the same pattern. "Did you ever wonder?" David asked, still in that unnaturally calm voice. "Why a professional trainer with Mark's supposed credentials would work at a suburban gym? Why he only takes on married women as clients? Why he calls himself Mark Davidson when his real name is Marcus De Silva?" David wasn't just a software engineer. His startup? It specialized in digital security and background checks. He'd known about Mark, about Marcus, for months. Not because he was spying on me, but because Elite Fitness was one of his clients, and Marcus had triggered every red flag in their employee screening system. 16 inches, David said, pulling up another file. That's the average emotional distance he creates between couples. It's his signature, his specialty. He's done this in 4 other states, Emily. Always the same pattern. Always targeting women who seem to have perfect lives. Always pushing just far enough to destroy families without quite crossing legal lines. The evidence was overwhelming. Mark wasn't just a trainer. He was a professional homewrecker. A man who had turned destroying marriages into an art form. The 16 inches wasn't about physical measurements or sexual prowess. It was about his ability to calculate the exact distance needed to break a couple apart. Charlotte, Minnesota, 2019. 7 marriages destroyed. Portland, Oregon, 2020. 5 divorces in 6 months. Austin, Texas, 2021. 4 families torn apart. Each location, each victim, meticulously documented. The pattern was always the same. Join a high-end gym in an affluent area. Identify women in seemingly perfect marriages. Start with professional training. Gradually escalate physical contact. Build emotional dependency through carefully timed messages. Create artificial crisis points to strain marriages. Disappear just before things get legally complicated. Move to the next city, next gym, next identity. He records everything, Emily. Every conversation, every intimate moment, every confession about marital problems. He sells the information to divorce attorneys, private investigators, sometimes even back to the husbands themselves. My phone buzzed. Another message from Mark. Thinking about our moment today? Same time tomorrow. David's voice cracked for the first time. He's already scheduled his next target. Karen Mitchell, 3 kids, married to the bank executive. Sessions start next week. The weight of it all crashed down on me. Every lingering touch, every seemingly spontaneous conversation, every late-night training session, all carefully choreographed. I wasn't special. I was just another mark in Marcus de Silva's endless con. Why? I started, my voice barely a whisper. Why didn't you stop it earlier? David's answer shattered my world even further. Because we needed proof. Not just for us, but for everyone he's hurt. Everyone he's going to hurt. The FBI has been building a case for months. Digital stalking, extortion, interstate fraud. They needed one more victim to establish the pattern. One more complete documentation of his methodology. You knew. All this time? I volunteered to help them track him when his name came up in our security screening. I never... His voice broke again. I never thought you'd be the one he targeted. By the time I realized, we were already... The sirens grew louder. Red and blue lights reflected off our living room walls. Through our front window, I could see FBI agents approaching elite fitness across the street. Marcus, was just finishing his last session of the day. But the real gut punch came when David opened one last file on his computer. A video started playing. Security footage from the gym's parking lot. In it, Marcus was on his phone, speaking to someone. Yeah, she's perfect. Husband some tech nerd, totally occupied with his startup. Won't even notice until it's too late. This one might be my masterpiece. 16 inches of separation by Easter, guaranteed. Already got a buyer lined up for the documentation. Everything I'd felt, every moment I'd treasured, every flutter of excitement, all part of someone else's script. A script he'd performed dozens of times before, would have performed dozens of times again. David played one last recording. Sophie's birthday video from 2 months ago. Me, cutting the cake, smiling, surrounded by family. Marcus, visible in the background, filming on his phone, already documenting, already planning the destruction of everything in that frame. What happens now? I whispered, watching the FBI agents through our window. That depends on you, David replied. Marcus will go to prison. The evidence is overwhelming. But us, that's not about 16 inches anymore. It's about how far we're willing to go to close the distance. Sophie and Jake's voices drifted up from the entryway. Mom bringing them home early because of the storm. Their innocent chatter about their day at Grandma's cut through the heavy silence of the office. But that's not where this story ends. Because what happened next would reveal an even more shocking truth about Marcus de Silva, about David's startup, and about the real meaning behind the 16 inches. Standing in David's office that night, Watching FBI agents lead Marcus away in handcuffs, I thought I'd reached the bottom of this nightmare. I was wrong. The true depth of the conspiracy was about to reveal itself, and with it, the real meaning behind the 16 inches. Mrs. Walker? A female FBI agent appeared in our doorway. I'm Agent Sarah Chen. We need to talk about your husband's role in all this. David's startup wasn't just any security company. It was a front for a specialized FBI task force investigating a sophisticated network of relationship saboteurs. Professional homewreckers who targeted affluent communities across the country. Agent Chen pulled up a map on her laptop. Red dots appeared across America, each representing a destroyed marriage, a shattered family. The pattern was far bigger than just Marcus. It was an organized operation. We call them the separators, she explained. They target happy marriages in wealthy neighborhoods. Each operative has their own methodology, but Marcus, he was their star performer. The 16 inches was his trademark. The truth spilled out like a flood. 27 operatives across 15 states. Over 200 marriages destroyed. Millions in profits from blackmail and extortion. A network of corrupt divorce attorneys. Hidden offshore accounts. Sophisticated psychological manipulation techniques. But the real shock came when Agent Chen revealed the organization's true purpose. It wasn't just about destroying marriages for profit. It was about data collection. Each separator gathered intimate details about their targets' lives. Financial information, personal secrets, business dealings, political connections, family dynamics. Think about it, Agent Chen said. What better way to gather intelligence than through destroyed marriages? Divorce makes people vulnerable. They reveal everything: bank accounts, business secrets, classified information. The relationship destruction was just a cover for one of the largest corporate espionage operations we've ever seen. The 16 inches. It wasn't just about emotional distance. It was a code. 16 inches. The exact depth of a standard corporate file cabinet drawer. Every target was chosen because of their connection to valuable corporate or government information. David's voice was quiet. When our security system flagged Marcus, we realized elite fitness was just one small part of a massive network. Each gym, each trainer, carefully positioned near corporate headquarters or government facilities. My marketing firm. We handled accounts for 3 Fortune 500 companies. Karen Mitchell, Marcus's next target. Her husband had access to sensitive banking data. Every victim had been chosen not for their perfect marriages, but for their proximity to valuable information. Mom? Sophie's voice drifted up. Can you help me with my science project? It's about measuring things. The irony wasn't lost on me. While I'd been obsessing over gym measurements and emotional distances, I'd nearly helped compromise national security. But there was one more twist coming. Agent Chen opened a final file. Marcus wasn't just gathering intelligence. He was placing it too. Those private training sessions? He was using them to plant false information. Creating chaos in the corporate world through carefully orchestrated leaks and misdirections. Security cameras had caught it all. Hidden USB drives in gym equipment. Coded messages in training schedules. Secret documents exchanged during stretching sessions. Wireless data interceptors in water bottles. Surveillance equipment disguised as fitness trackers the investigation had uncovered. 47 compromised corporations. 13 breached government contracts. 156 leaked trade secrets, $89 million in market manipulation profits, 23 compromised executives. David's voice cracked again. When I realized you were targeted, I had a choice. Let you fall into their trap and gather evidence, or warn you and risk losing our chance to bring down the entire network. The weight of his decision hung between us. Protect his wife's heart or national security. Save his marriage or stop a criminal enterprise. Trust in our love or trust in justice. Risk everything or lose everything. Agent Chen continued. Your husband's decision to let the operation play out, to trust you would be strong enough to survive it, helped us uncover the largest corporate espionage ring in US history. The aftermath was a tornado of national headlines, congressional hearings, international investigations, corporate security overhauls, marriage counseling sessions, family therapy appointments, school conferences about troubled kids, late-night conversations about trust. Marcus and 23 other separators were convicted on multiple charges: conspiracy, fraud, espionage, extortion, wire fraud, interstate crime. The hardest part wasn't the investigation or the trials. It was rebuilding trust. Family dinner conversations, marriage counseling breakthroughs, children's questioning looks, community gossip, personal doubt, professional embarrassment. But here's what I learned about measurements. Trust isn't measured in inches. Love isn't calculated in distances. Marriage isn't about perfect numbers. Family can't be quantified. Healing doesn't follow metrics. 1 year later, Sophie's science project won first place. Jake's nightmares stopped. David's company became legitimate. My marketing career survived. Our marriage grew stronger. I still go to the gym, but now, different location, female trainer, daytime sessions, family memberships, healthy boundaries. The 16 inches. It became a different kind of measurement. The distance we'll go to protect each other. The depth of resilience in a marriage, the strength of family bonds, the power of forgiveness, the length of a new beginning. Mom, Dad, look how far I can jump. Sophie's voice calls from the backyard. She's measuring distances with her new science kit, innocent to how measurements once nearly destroyed her world. They say curiosity killed the cat. In my case, it nearly killed my marriage. But sometimes, what doesn't kill us reveals truths we never expected to find. And sometimes, the real measurement of love isn't in inches or distances, but in the strength to rebuild what was almost lost. Remember, in the end, the only measurements that matter are the ones we use to grow closer. If this dark truth shook you, there are more secrets waiting to be exposed. Hit subscribe and turn on all notifications now to join Dark Truth Archives, where secrets come to light. Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know what truths you want uncovered next. New stories every week, because some secrets can't stay hidden forever. Dark Truth Archives, where every shadow holds a story.